Shawty got me in the room, knowing that I'm in the.
What's up, guys? This your boy Mr. I240 Wrestling. I'm back with another episode. Hey, I appreciate what the love the page been getting. It inspired the grind to keep going and shining on this beautiful day. You know what I'm saying? December 25th, whatever y'all want to call it. But hey, I just want to bless y'all with some heat. You know what I'm saying? So I know that I'm gonna be kind of busy this week. I'm gonna be working all week, so I probably won't be out till Saturday. So I just want to record. Now I'm gonna give y'all one. I'm gonna give y'all two. So this episode is gonna be more of entertaining, fun, relax thing or whatever. I'm trying to make it short and sweet. I know it ain't gonna be short, but I don't think this episode gonna be long. But hey, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, hit that comment button, and like I said, hey man, let's get these subscribers up. I'm really starting to love this. I really do love this because I love professional wrestling. Keyword professional wrestling. I really love talking about this type of stuff, and I can see this stuff going type of places. So today's episode was inspired by Ruthless Aggression Season 2, and they were talking about Hollywood Rock. So the title of this episode is Gimmicks. I chose 6 random gimmicks, and you got the good, you got the bad, you got something that was good and bad for a variety of reasons. So hey, let's get into it. The first subject I want to talk about, The Rock. Hollywood Rock. When you look back at it and you watch the Ruthless Aggression episode, it should really be in the top 20 because The Rock knew in 2002 that his act was getting stale and the WWE fans was ready to move on to a new generation. And if you remember, leading up to the match, they was cheering for The Rock. But the day of the match with him and Brock Lesnar, The Rock was the face and Brock Lesnar was the heel. But they booed Rock. They booed him. Even when he rock bottom Paul Heyman, they booed him. And I'm pretty sure I won't be surprised if you look at that match that The Rock was supposed to win. But I'm pretty sure The Rock called an audible. And said, hey man, let's go on do it. Because The Rock seen Brock Lesnar worth from the beginning. If you remember back in season 1, in the episode of the Brock Lesnar episode, where they was building towards the future Ruthless Aggression, The Rock was looking like, why not? Let's go for it. Now's the time. Because you got to think about it. I mean, yeah, Triple H, it was like, all right, you on Raw, so you don't want to work Fridays. Let me see. Undertaker, they still love the Undertaker, but it was just kind of like fans are just ready to move on to something new. You had Kane, yada yada yada. So Rock didn't want it to be repetitive. So he gave the belt to Brock. And then they cheered when he lost. And if you can remember, and I ain't even catch this part, that they said after the match, The Rock cut a heel promo, and they were kind of like, well, he had to look like, hey, y'all want me to go heel? All right. He cut a heel promo. It was entertaining as it always is. So he went to Hollywood for a minute. Back to Hollywood. Do the rundown and stuff like that. And then, he came back on the Little War show. He did his little stick just to mess with the crowd and rub it in. And then his appearance for that bad match, Hogan versus Rock 2, that's when Hollywood Rock was born. When he dissed the fans, he was entitled, acting brand new, vest, new swagger, acting like he better than everybody else. Really dissed the hell out of Hulk Hogan. spit in his face, taunting him, you know. And then that match was good. Well, I guess not like good. It was okay. He cheated, won. Then, the night after, he had his build up with him and Austin 3. And that was slick, an underrated build up at the time for such a great character. And you look back at it, and he was like, man, it was nothing else left for The Rock to do but to beat Stone Cold at WrestleMania. And the promos they had over the week with each other, where he cost Austin the match with Bischoff and little stuff like that. And with Bischoff, 3-minute warning, Austin costing The Rock his chances to go to WrestleMania against Triple H in the Battle Royal. The Rock was entertaining during that Battle Royal, if you look back at it. Then, during the time he was doing his build up with Austin, he was in the promos with Gregory Helms, aka the Hurricane. And I saw the episode of Ruthless Aggression 2. He was like, it'll be one and done. But they had so much amazing chemistry together that they had to jump on. You know what I'm saying? I know my favorite one was when The Rock answered his phone and said, "This, you're nothing. It's nothing for you because you're nothing." The Hurricane, Hurricane hung in with The Rock too. Leading up to a good, entertaining match. He had a match with Jeff Hardy during that time. It was actually pretty good now that I think about it. It wasn't bad. I think they were probably doing some experiment with Jeff to push Jeff. They had some back and forth. Good comedic time, genius. And then The Rock put Hurricane over, acting like Hurricane could fly. He looking up at the sky. Then they made it look at 2 times better when they came together in the chemistry work. Then, Austin cost The Rock the match. Then my second favorite moment with Austin came from behind the truck, well, the little back part or whatever. He started whipping The Rock butt during the Rock concert. The Rock concert is always funny though, but when he was heel Rock, it was entertaining. And it led to the match. It was actually a good match. It was better than I thought it was gonna be. He beat him with 3 rock bottoms, and if y'all remember, they both broke characters. Rock told him he loved him, he appreciated it. Because we knew as fans back then we were going to never see that match again. And, off goes to sunset for Stone Cold. And then The Rock went, cut a promo. He beat it everybody. And then he did another solid for Goldberg. Now, that match there, it was cool. I ain't gonna say it was whack. When you look back on it, I thought it was whack. But it was definitely better than Lesnar versus Goldberg 1. And plus, The Rock made Goldberg look good, sent them off, and then we seen The Rock 9 months to a year later, where he was a face again, and fans love him again, yada yada yada. So, heel Rock was a fun ride. It was a great gimmick in a short period of time. I just wish Rock would have stayed around more. And maybe we would have got that John Cena versus Rock, heel Rock, early, 05, 06 maybe. Who knows what they could have done creatively. Because Triple H stuck around for a long time, throughout all that. I know, but when you such a star as The Rock, it's hard to stick around for that when you got a promising career and you can expand outside of wrestling. Because you got to remember too, you don't think The Rock run in WWE was 10 years. It was really, The Rock WWE run was like 8. But it was really 5 if you sum it up. It was really 5. Because about 01, 2002, that's when it started to die. And they was ready to move on to someone else. So, shout out to Rock for heel Rock. Another gimmick I want to talk about. This was actually funny and trash at the same time. Gilbert. So, Gilbert, of course, was the ripoff between Goldberg. It caught on. I'd say it caught on immediately Cause it was funny how Goldberg used to come out, do the ugly face, do his look, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it caught momentum. We didn't even care if the guy. And plus, he was the opposite of Goldberg, so we already knew like, well, for Gilbert was gonna win. He had the little pop fireworks and cheap fireworks and stuff like that. So that was like some good work to see, man. And I think that was like Vince, Tom Bischoff. You know what I'm saying? You know Vince can be petty. Y'all know the rivalry. You know the rivalry between him and Dusty Rhodes, where I think with the black dude, he was Ted DiBiase assistant version. His whole nigga episode. And then the same dude went to WCW. It was Vince McMahon. Because a lot of competition between the two, especially with them booking each other in the 80s and stuff. You gotta remember at one point Dusty Rhodes was a booker. Vince McMahon was a good booker back in the 90s, stuff like the 80s, whatever. So there was just another reinvention of Vince sending shots in WCW. Now, you gotta remember too now, it was times at point when during the Monday Night Wars, the WCW sending shots Vince way. Dissing the program, giving out the results and stuff like that. So it was a lot of back and forth. So Vince decided, hey, we're gonna come up with Gilbert. But deep inside, I'm pretty sure Vince wanted Goldberg back in 98. But I'm gonna be honest with you, Goldberg would have went WWF back in 98, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. So the guy used to come out there every week, do his cheap props. Then I think when he got in the ring, he used to fall over the ropes and stuff, making Goldberg look lazy. And I think I recall, and I read a report that I think dude said he met Goldberg twice. The first time Goldberg wasn't so pleasant, he took it offensive. And at that time, I think Goldberg was kind of in his feelings. Took himself a little bit more serious. And that happens to folks, especially like guys like Goldberg or Bobby Lashley, that's the more serious guys that came from raised different backgrounds and stuff like that. So they don't take people making fun of them or whatever, copying their gimmick or whatever, because they so high intense guys and more reserved or whatever. But then after years go by, sometimes you get settled in, and like he said, he met Goldberg the second time. He laughed about it. And you remember, matter of fact, back to my first joke, I should have brought this up too. When him and The Rock had the feud, he brought out Gilbert. And Goldberg was like, I wanted to beat the hell out of him. But then, he said back in that same segment that it was genius to help Goldberg be more over. So, stuff like that, man, that gimmick there was awful and funny at the same time. And then I like how they didn't use it, but they probably did like in 99. They did use it a little bit, because that's when, but they used it a lot, but then because Goldberg was steaming. But when Goldberg buzzed that, they stopped using it like that. It was just like Ed Blue Moon thing. And plus, he's a legendary gimmick guy. It's like there's already be a legendary gimmick guy, did not be known at all. So, shout out to my boy Gilbert, and let's get into it. Another subject I want to talk about. Now, this was really trash. And it ain't even because of the wrestler himself. This guy. Why did 98, 99, 96, Vince had that 70 show? And I guess, not Vince, Eric Bischoff, I'm sorry, made a character called Disco Inferno. And the surprising part was he actually won championships. But the gimmick was so garbage. The wrestler could wrestle, but the gimmick was so trash. Like, you couldn't make no guy like that no superstar. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure he probably didn't see himself as a superstar. He probably just, like the Owen Hart, British Bulldogs, all them just yes men. You know what I'm saying? They just went along with the program, went along with the flow. He had his little pops and stuff like that, but it was just like, that gimmick was really cheesy, bro. Now if it was like the 70s, I'd be like, oh yeah, they jump hard. Or the 80s, I'm like, they jump hard. But you gotta remember, this is like 95, 96, Thug Life, Tupac era, rock and roll, drugs, you know what I'm saying? Back when they were just doing weed and cocaine and kids, you know, back in my generation, or generation before me, I'm sorry, I was 8 years old back in 96, 99. All that. So they were kind of looking at it like, man, they kind of corny, you know. You can look at some of his matches, they'll be quiet, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So it just, something didn't fit right, you know what I'm saying? It didn't go right, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just pretty sure he one of them guys that was the hard worker, go with the flow, you know, because he ain't really just never had no standout moments. Even when he joined the NWO, it just looked weird, and that's when the NWO was dying, just like the 70s did, and with Studio 54. You know what I'm saying? Once the HIV era hit, it just started fading away. And then the 80s came along, crack cocaine and hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So just like that, his career was starting to die. And I think when WCW died, his career died, and when you just see dude on TV like that no more. Cause when you got gimmicks like that, it's hard to just really recover and bounce back from. When it's, I just thought about something, gimmicks. I should have mentioned this one, but I say that for gimmicks part 2. When you got certain gimmicks, it's hard to bounce back from. It's just certain gimmicks you cannot bounce back, because people still gonna look at you as that person. You see what I'm saying? You can be everything else, but you still gonna be that person, especially if this who you've been naturally being that whole time. So it's hard to be serious and stuff like that. So Disco Inferno, he was a good wrestler, decent wrestler, but the gimmick was just trash. Sorry, it was. Bischoff, you boy, you dirty boy. Another gimmick that was really funny was a fun time to watch. Norman Smiley, the Wiggle Man, as we call it, the Wiggle Man. Now you gotta remember, Norman Smiley was just a jobber dude. I don't say jobber dude, but he was just that hard working wrestling. He reminded me of Barry. What's the dude's name? That was in WWE back in the day, Barry Holtz or whatever. I think of him. I can't think of him right now. But he was just like him. But then he brought the little comedy act to it. He started wearing, football jerseys. Started getting miracle wins and stuff like that. He even won the hardcore title. He was a decent WCW hardcore champion. Entertaining, very entertaining. You know, them guys from England can be very entertaining. You know what I'm saying? So he brought a lot to the content. He was the comic relief guy, and he actually had decent matches. With Brian Knobbs and whoever else was going for the WCW hardcore title at the time. They belt actually looked better than WWE hardcore title. I ain't gonna front. They built did. He was putting on shows, going against Ming and stuff like that. So, he was actually competing and he was winning at the same time. It was like, wow, this guy funny, energetic, get the crowd going. The crowd love him. And then he had this little wiggle move where he, I think, do what Road Dogg did. So he did the little wiggle thing, you know what I'm saying? And it just took off, and it was just a fun ride at the time, like, to remember and to enjoy. And it was just entertaining. And you know what's funny, man? I be like, man, can you imagine if WCW would have killed that NWO stuff early? They would have had a perfect lineup of guys to do it. You had your top tier guys, your Booker T, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho. If it was built right, Mike Awesome, Lance Storm, Sting, DDP. Yeah, Kevin Nash probably hurt. Scott Hall was over with. Then you would have your Steve Vicious, your Rick Steiners, yada yada yada. Then you would have your secretary guys, your Rey Mysterios, Billy Kidmans, Hoover yada yada yada. Then you would have your comedy acts, Norman Smiley. Hey, you could have still threw Ming in there. Jim Duggan had been the OG legend, open up, or he could have got better and wanted to do feats with certain guys. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like this. So it would have been perfect leading into the next era of WCW if they would have done it right instead of bringing Vince Russo and that trash right. Because that boy there think he was genius. But like, no, you were a genius. It was just using the Attitude Era, and it was a lot of free. The Attitude Era was AEW before AEW. But when you bring Vince Russo in and you're losing money, yada yada yada, Vince kicking y'all butt in the ratings every week, it was bound to fail. But that was the highlight of the time. Norman Smiley. If y'all don't know who Norman Smiley is, he's now the trainer of NXT, the OG, the legend. You know what I'm saying? Good wrestler, OG. He adjusted his role. He had a gimmick that worked for a while. And then he shied away from the business after WCW. I think he shied away once before then too. Stuff like that. So shout out to Norman Smiley, to the OG. Another entertaining gimmick. I told y'all my boy first ballot Hall of Fame. But R-Truth is Lil Jimmy. Woo! Man, if that wasn't entertaining, if that wasn't some of the best entertainment of all time, the man walking outside talking to himself in public. I ain't gonna front. I ain't crazy, but you had them moments. I done this stuff myself. I ain't gonna front. Especially when my job stressed me out. Shout out to Amazon. Whew, glad peak season over. One love. Anyway, so then he came in, did his thing, smoking a cigarette, attacked his best friend John Morrison. And then, I mean, what wasn't entertaining about Lil Jimmy? Like, Lil Jimmy was a good time, it was a fun ride. But my favorite moment was when he attacked John Morrison backstage and hit him with the I guess the speaker thing, whatever you want to call it, whatever you carry the production crew stuff in. And then he walked away for a second and he came back. You got Lil Jimmy. Bruh, if that wasn't funny, I don't know what was. And like R-Truth just one of the best entertaining guys of all time. That's why I say he's the first ballot entertainer. I just wish he'll go in for more as a wrestler than the gimmicks, but you know, and I wish he would have won that belt in 2011 against John Cena, because that Lil Jimmy gimmick was over more than ever. But I'm pretty sure Vince or John was like, man, you ain't ready. And R-Truth was ready. And you know, especially him being one of Vince McMahon's most loyal employees and sticking by his side, I think he up there for his loyalty to Vince than Undertaker is. Like, I ain't saying he loyal as the Undertaker is, but he's close to, you know what I'm saying? Because he do anything the job asked him to do. He became 24/7 champion. A lot of people forget, man, he's a multiple champion, tag team champion, United States title. I wish he would have had his United States title long. So, you know, the boy very talented, and Lil Jimmy was just a fun ride, like especially prime R-Truth. Smoking a cigarette in London, England when he betrayed John Morrison. And no, he went in the triple threat match. There was Morrison. Yeah, John Morrison stole his spot. Yeah. So, you know, him and John Morrison feud could have been something special, but I don't think it was built right or someone connected to the fans to make it right. And but R-Truth, man, Lil Jimmy was a fun ride. That was a good ride. And last but not least, this gimmick here was so offensive, it was sad. Chavo Guerrero, a.k.a. Curran White. Like, they had my boy wearing plaid, playing golf. Like, at that time, WWE did not care. Like, you couldn't put up a Curran White today. Oh, you getting controversial, you getting, man, cancel, all of that. But back then, back in 06, when folks weren't sensitive, yeah, I said it. Yeah, I stand on it. This world is sensitive, bro. I'm sorry. It is what it is. But it's all another story, man. Man, like, it was so bad. I think Dolph Ziggler was his caddy or something like that at the time. You know, getting his buzz coming from OVW and stuff like that. And, you know, I think Chavo was trying to find his itch. You know, trying to be funny, but without your uncle, he just ain't that good. Thank God he recovered back in 07, especially with 06, 07 with that feud with Ray and Chris Benoit. I feel like Chavo was over, especially with Vicky being his manager. He should have been in the title picture, but I feel like that gimmick probably killed it, and Vince didn't look at him like that, and, you know, didn't push him to the world title picture. But Chavo showed us in 07 after Curran White, he made us kind of forget it, that he's He might not be his uncle, but he's much talented than he is. And I hate that, you know, they wasted his talent in ECW. That lunch plate belt, and he did as much as he could with it. His feud with Kane was actually decent, but I just feel like when you put yourself in certain positions, the company ain't gonna look at you like that. And I feel like at that point, you know, especially with the race stuff, that was a great feud. Chavo should have had some backbone and be like, bruh, no, I did this crappy gimmick for you. It didn't work. I deserve a title push at this point. You know, it couldn't have been about Batista. I feel like he could have had a good program with Batista because he was having a good program with Ray. Chris Benoit. I feel like he could have had a good program with Undertaker. He could have had a good program with Batista. But then, you know, he got with Edge. They made him just Edge lackey or his step uncle, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, that Karen White jump was just trash. The build up was horrible. And I ain't think Chavo, I thought his career was over at that point. But he bounced back. And, you know, so, hey, y'all, that's it for this episode. Hey, I'll probably film the other one in probably in a few hours. I'm going to take a 30-minute break or a couple hour break or whatever. But, hey, I love y'all. I'm out. Peace.